Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I figured it out. I've had about 24 hours, or I guess a little bit longer, to process AP's decision, AP, Tom Telesco, and Luke Getzey's decision, to roll with Gardner Minshew as the starter. You guys have known for the last 5 months, I've been saying Aiden O'Connell's going to be the starter, he's going to win the job, blah, blah, blah. And look, I was wrong. He didn't win the job. I mean, he won the job, but he didn't win the job. I think most Raider fans would agree that Aiden O'Connell looked better in the 2 preseason games than Gardner Minshew. Maybe it wasn't by a country mile, right? And there were conflicting reports whether or not Aiden or Gardner had better practices. If we're going to take the conflicting reports at face value, we have to then say they were even. And if they were even and Aiden was slightly better in the preseason, I thought that would mean that Aiden would win the job. But I'm man enough to tell you I'm wrong. Here's the thing. I thought long and hard about this, and I also thought long and hard about Antonio Pierce's press conference. And one of the last questions was, I believe, by Paul Gutierrez, who asked him, basically, is there a short leash on Gardner Minshew because you said the first quarter of the season we have to get to a fast start, right? And he said, well, no, I just think in quarters, first 4 games is the first quarter of the season. The first 4 games we play, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Carolina Panthers, Cleveland Browns. Take the Panthers out of the equation. Those other 3 teams have very good to great to elite front 4s. They can get after the quarterback. Maybe not as good as us, or maybe just as good as us, to be honest. And right now, Jackson Powers-Johnson, who Antonio Pierce said in a press conference he doesn't see him starting right away because he barely got to practice in the offseason, even though he is healthier now, and Colton Miller are both unhealthy, and they are both key pieces to this offensive line. So I think, and this is tinfoil hat stuff, Antonio Pierce said to the locker room and to the 2 guys, Gardner's the starter, Aiden be ready, right? Aiden be ready, that's diplomatic, political, whatever. I think Antonio Pierce is pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. Raider Nation, the media, our opponents. Do I think Gardner Minshew is going to start the season? Absolutely. And do I think what they're thinking about is our offensive line could be a little suspect, so we might be setting Aiden up to fail, more so setting up Gardner to fail if we put Aiden out there with the subpar offensive line. I do believe that to be true. Here's what I think nobody's talking about. The first quarter of the season. That's what AP keeps saying. I think, in his mind, Antonio Pierce is saying this. If we are anything less than 2-2 after 4 games, Gardner's done. Hello, beautiful people of Patreon. Today, we're going to be watching some Gardner Minshew 2023 highlights to sort of get us back on the right track here mentally. Here's the thing. He could have taken this check down, right? We'll see what happens. He literally did that in the Cowboy game, in the preseason game. But I have a feeling this is going to be better. That's a good play. I can't deny that. That's a good play. I said we could win 10 games with this guy. I just felt more confident with Aiden. Pulling the plug on him. Aiden's going to start. The reason I say that is because we start 2 games on the road, and then we go home and play the Panthers. That's a get-right game, right? Assuming we go 1-1 or 0-2 to start. Never know. I don't know if Easton Stick or Justin Herbert's playing. Then Cleveland Browns. That's a tough first 4 games to ask Aiden, who I think is the better passer, to go in there when he hasn't even played a full 16-game regular season schedule, or 17 games, right? And you could say, well, he went to Kansas City on Christmas Day. He knows what the pressure is like, no doubt about it. But he didn't play great in that game. He didn't do much. They didn't ask him to do much, but he didn't play great. I also can't sit here and say, after hyping up Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, and Luke Getzey, that I'm now just going to jump off the bandwagon because they made a decision that I disagree with. Just because I feel differently doesn't mean that they made the wrong choice. I might think it's the wrong choice, but guess what? Only time will tell. I do believe Gardner has a short leash because I think, if anything, Aiden actually did win this job, but he didn't win it far and away. which means that they're going to roll with the experience and the mobility because they're going to be playing in hostile environments and they're going to be playing teams that have great defensive lines. And Gardner in these first 4 games maybe gives us a better chance to win systematically, even though Aiden might be the slightly better player. We're going to need somebody to be able to run around. And I think if we're 0-4 or 1-3, Gardner's out. If we're 2-2 or better, Gardner's bought himself another quarter of the season. And I think AP is going to take this quarter by quarter, while Tom Telesco is going to have an eye on the trade deadline for potential quarterbacks, free agents coming next year, maybe Aaron Rodgers in a trade, or scouting Shedeur Sanders, right? We'll see what happens. But for right now, that's where I landed on Antonio Pierce tricking everybody by saying Gardner's the starter. And I'm not saying that Aiden's the starter. Gardner is the starter, and that's the decision we got to roll with. Speaking of rolling with the decision, again, I've made it very clear that I'm not happy with the decision, or I wasn't initially happy. I watched Gardner Minshew and his highlights on Patreon. Check that out, patreon.com/ALLaBorde. It's going to be a Patreon exclusive. But here's the thing, and I want you guys to understand this. No single player, no single content creator on YouTube, no single person watching this video is bigger than the Shield. And I hope you understand that when I say that because Gardner Minshew's our quarterback, that I'm going to support him with every fiber of my being. I am now an Uncle Rico supporter until the day I leave this earth. I am 100% bought in to the Raiders, to the Shield. Nobody is bigger than it. And just because you might disagree, that doesn't mean you shouldn't fully buy in. Make sure we're hitting that sub button. We're getting so close to 10K. I didn't think we would have a chance, but now with this Gardner Minshew push, video view-wise, we got a shot. We got a little under 3 weeks to try to get to 10K before the new league year. Don't be a lurker. 70% of you are. Hit that sub button if you're watching and you're enjoying. Even if you're not enjoying and you hate watch me, there's some of you out there. It's fine. I appreciate it. I take it all. Hit that sub button. Devontae, Jacoby, Brock, Trey, Mayer, Laube, Zamir, Madison. Good offensive line, great defense. What more could you ask for? This is what we need when we watch these football games. We don't need to chant Aiden's name the second Gardner Minshew throws an incompletion or an interception. It's going to happen. We cannot go into this season perceiving the quarterback situation to be any sort of controversy because the decision was made. Doesn't mean it can't be undone, and it will be undone because Antonio Pierce, above all else, wants to win. And if he doesn't win, he's going to change things up until we get closer to winning. So for right now, I need everyone to take a collective deep breath. I've done a lot of deep breathing this past 24 hours. I've watched Gardner Minshew tape. I've thought long and hard about it. And now I understand why they went with Gardner. Just because I thought about it doesn't mean I now think, oh, Gardner won the job. He didn't win the job. He lost it. They were in a battle, and Aiden was better. Doesn't matter. He was slightly better. Doesn't matter. What they're rolling the dice on is the experience and the mobility. And some people keep saying it was the money. It's $15 million. You think AP gives a rat's ass how much any particular player is playing? If Trey Tucker was better than Devontae, Trey Tucker would be the number one wide receiver. Doesn't matter if you're making $100 million or $10. I'm here to tell you right now it has nothing to do with the money. And there are people also saying Gardner Minshew was always going to be the starter. That is not the case. I've broken it down for you right now. But I'm telling you, this is what we need. We need 100% support right now. We all need to get on the train or hop off it. Because it's going whether or not you like it. It's going. Gardner Minshew's the starter. And I'm going to support him. With that being said, I do believe that if we are 1-3 or worse, they'll pull him. And the schedule doesn't get any easier, but these first 4 games are very important because you've seen Raider teams get hot at the end of the season after having poor starts, right? You have to be able to start the season at least 500, right? We were 3-5 when Josh got fired. Imagine if Antonio Pierce was coaching since day one. We went 8-9. We might have went 10-7. You never know what could happen if you get off to a hot start. If you start off slow, it just takes a lot to dig out, right? And you got people like Devontae and Max who are dying to play winning football in Las Vegas. And I'm not saying that they're just going to hop off the bandwagon if things go south. But they're tired of losing, especially Max, right? Devontae's not used to losing. It's different now. He said as much. But Max is tired of it. Max has said, I'm a Raider till I die, but I need to win games. And right now, strategically, not skill-wise, strategically, they think Gardner Minshew gives us the best chance to win. And I cannot argue that because I'm not paid to make those decisions. I'm paid to entertain you and to give you my takes. And for whatever reason, you guys keep coming back, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free. Oh, wait. Not yet. Discord. Link in the description below. It's free. We got a lot of people joining. A lot of people giving takes. It's fun. Patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. You get your name at the end of the credits. You get exclusive content. You get videos like this early. I just watched Gardner Minshew highlights for like 10 minutes. It's up on Patreon. It's not going to be up on YouTube because of the copyright issues. It's the big orange P right here. Just click it. Sign up. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys. And I'll see you next time.